All right. Welcome to Dual Redundancy, the only podcast
Turned web show,
turned ICTV show,
turned blog,
turned back to a podcast where you can hear all the latest in television and entertainment news with two hosts with exactly the same opinions. I'm one of those hosts, David Allen, and the other one is
Mike Ladue. I am the Travis to your Old Yeller.
Oh, isn't that sweet? But I know how that ends, Mike.
Do you?
Well, now that I saw this episode, Vince Gilligan, can you do a
Spoiler alert, yeah.
Exactly. I think there should be a statute of limitations, 100 years on spoilers, Mike. So you can't.
Is that
really,
like fair use for music and stuff?
Yeah, something like that. You can just start spoiling the end of Romeo and Juliet now, or no, that's actually
I feel like
way
it's been
farther,
a lot more than 100 years.
Okay, but anyways, yes, it's some shocking things happened this week in Breaking Bad. Speaking of Old Yeller, this week's episode had a dog in its title. It was Rabid Dog, Mike. This dog has to be put down.
Yeah.
We're going to break this whole thing down as we do every week on the podcast. We're halfway through this final 8 episodes. In 4 weeks, in a month, we will no longer have anything to talk about ever.
Yeah, I'm done with you.
Yeah, I mean, what's the point of talking about entertainment once Breaking Bad's over?
What's the point of talking?
What are we going to look forward to?
Well, I hear there might be a Dexter spinoff, so I'm really I'm putting all my eggs in that bat. Or maybe Low Winter Sun, if that gets renewed.
Well, I mean, you know what they're going to do probably for the last episode? They're going to start the episode, and then it's going to be like the last 10 minutes, and then they're going to cut and be like, to watch the last 10 minutes, watch the full season of Low Winter Sun, and then you'll be granted access to the 10 minutes of Breaking Bad.
I would run to someone's house and fill it with gasoline, probably.
Oh, okay. Well, that's perfect because
I don't know who.
Well, Walter, comes home from his house at the start of the episode and sees Jesse's car because last week we were left with Jesse pouring gasoline all over the White household. But, the gasoline's there. Everything's there except for Jesse. Walter comes in. He's peeking around all the corners. He has his gun drawn. We think he could be around at any corner. And at first, the viewers are left wondering what happened to him. Later it's revealed, but for me, I thought like what happened to Jesse? Did he forget a match? Did he gotta go to the store, maybe get some more gasoline? Did he run out, just pouring it Free Willy style, and he has to do the other rooms? I don't know.
Wait, Free Willy style is that a reference to the movie Free Willy?
I don't know.
Is there gasoline pouring in that movie?
I kind of just made up.
Did you mean willy nilly?
No, I think I meant. Well, maybe I meant freestyle and willy-nilly combined, or maybe it's some reference to a Will Smith thing.
Like Big Willy style?
Yeah, he was pouring the gasoline Big Willy style.
But you said Free Willy style.
I don't know what I said, Mike.
I'm just imagining like an orca.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I've had a little bit of the stuff that was on that CD. What was on that CD, Mike? Some white substance.
It looked like coca or something. I don't know. I assume it, some type of drug, but I thought that was a weird, because that was like they smashed to the credits right after that. I thought that was an odd way to jump to the credits. I thought that entire opening sequence, though, was extremely tense, extremely well done. I loved the shot down the hallway where, he went in and you're just like, I'm waiting for a gunshot. I'm waiting for, something crazy to happen. And, I thought Jesse would come in on the other side by the camera and, drop a match and, a trail of fire would go to the bedroom. But, none of that happened. It was all just very slow and plotted.
Yeah, and I love, Breaking Bad would do that because we thought, all right, he's going to burn down the house. But because we thought that, they did the opposite. No, he's not going to burn down the house. And, I thought when Walter was opening that door, to his bedroom, I thought it was going to be, Jesse was just hiding behind the door and, you would see him creep out. But no, there was no sign of Jesse, and we'd have to wait until later in the episode to find out what exactly happened to him. I know it's hard to go back and look back, Mike, but did you have any initial thoughts of where you thought Jesse ran off to or was hiding?
I didn't. I didn't think he'd be with Hank. I didn't really think about it. But I have a question for you.
Uh-oh.
What did you think about the structure of this of that reveal? like the entire first commercial was all like Walt's side, and then we got all Jesse's side with Hank, and then it all kind of coalesced at the end. Like I don't know if I really liked. A lot of people were raving about this episode. I saw AV Club give it an A, and I don't know if that structure for the first 2 acts really worked for me. And I don't know if it's just me or if it's the show.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it because, yeah, like, I mean, it just kept the suspense, even though, like, the whole scene in the beginning was so suspenseful. We were waiting for Jesse to arrive, and the same thing was happening to us as an audience. As Walt was waiting for Jesse, we were waiting for Jesse to find out where he was. So we were kind of in Walt's shoes of not knowing Jesse's side of things. And I remember even watching it. I watched it with a bunch of people last night. Usually I watch it, alone in my room. But when we were watching it, a lot of them were like, wait a minute, is he doing it again? Like, they honestly thought that, like,
oh, really?
The gasoline was coming out again. It's like, no, this is a flashback. This is what happened. And I just thought it was interesting. I was reading, like, an article, and I guess, yeah, like, the writers and directors said they wanted to wait until the last possible minute to reveal Jesse, like, as far as they could, story-wise, before they revealed what Jesse was doing, just to keep that suspense going.
Yeah, I don't know if that was the right choice for me. I don't know. I feel like you have to wait longer. When you see shows like Lost, or you'll see one side, or even Arrested Development, how that you'll see one side of a conversation, and then 6 episodes later you'll see the other side, and you'll realize, oh my, something crazy just happened. But or you'll get the full picture. And I think it was like an awkward middle where you're not getting the information immediately, and you're not getting it as like a cliffhanger to the episode or even the next episode. It just felt like, oh, we're doing this now with, I didn't feel like there was any indication that it was going to come at that point. It kind of threw me off guard and left a bad taste in my mouth when I think it should have done the opposite and really had me prepared for it. I don't know.
Yeah, I could see that. Like, maybe even doing this episode from kind of Walt's point of view, do everything, all the Walt scenes from this episode, no Jesse, and then the start of next week, maybe show everything of Jesse's side and not Walter's side. Maybe that's not as long,
right? And that could be
a season, but like,
right, that could be like the entire first act of that episode. So maybe we see Jesse come, to the meeting with Walt and the guy, walk away, and we don't understand his motives. And next week, have a really long, maybe not the cold open, but the entire first act, we figure out what happened with Jesse, why I brought him to this, and then we can add Walt in later. But it's I don't know, for me, the editing and I don't know if it was editing or if it was writing, but it didn't fully click like a lot of the other episodes have for me this week. I mean, I think a lot of awesome stuff happened, which we'll get to, but just the structure I was not in love with.
All right. What can you do, Mike? Maybe, I know there's a video online of this guy who does special effects. Well, he claims he does special effects for a thing, but obviously he's just doing like a joke, a character for these YouTube videos. But he actually edits what he thinks the scene should have had or used. Or like, there was a great episode I was just watching where the scene 2 episodes ago with Skylar and Hank in the diner, and they're like, oh, this scene is just so boring. They're just talking back and forth, back and forth. What we really need is some action. So in the background, he just added like a Michael Bay car crash and like things like hitting the window. Like, maybe you just need to try to take some of these episodes when it's finally done, and you can edit and make it work. Maybe
re-edit them.
Yeah, maybe you want to try that.
Maybe I'll just remake Breaking Bad, like a Frankenstein monster of Breaking Bad.
I'm gonna start it right in like the first episode, and then cut like everything out, and then like, oh, you just see him die, like, or whatever, however the end's gonna be, and make it like a 40-minute made-for-TV movie. And then they can win that Emmy too.
It's just gonna be Skylar saying "I effed Ted" over and over and over again, and it's just gonna be all Skylar and Walter Jr. There's gonna be no Walt and Jesse.
It'd be an interesting a take on the show, Mike. Speaking of Skylar, so. Walter has a full house of gasoline everywhere, and he has to clean this up before Skylar gets home from the car wash. So she doesn't know what happened. He tries, cleaning up all the gasoline, the smell, and everything. Even with science, he can't get rid of that smell. So he makes up some pump malfunction story. Just like last week where he was talking about the soda machine not, the latch on it not latching. This week it was like, oh, the pump wasn't, pumping, or exactly. And but even Walter Jr. does not buy this story, and he thinks he passed out from the fumes. What did you think of this cover up? Could you have believed that, Mike, if Walter White was your father?
Well, Walt's ability to bowl a story is unparalleled. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just comes off so off the cuff and so self-deprecating. Really, it makes him look like an idiot. And we know that Walt's really not that idiot, but he always kind of has been. So anytime he talks like that, I almost didn't take him seriously. And I'm sure Skylar, she sees how he talks when his ego is 100%. So, but I mean, I guess it makes sense that Walter Jr. didn't buy it, because Walter Jr. has been a complete and total idiot this entire show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, not to mince words, he really, and even like, just through everything, he's been so stupid. And like, yeah, the story was good and it all made sense, like, if you're an uninformed Walter Jr., then you would probably buy it. Maybe I feel like Holly would have been a little more skeptical than Walter Jr. by this point. I feel like she knows a little more than what's going on than he does.
I'll say this is random. I remember watching commercials for, like, I don't know, if shredded wheat or whatever those cereals are, where it's like the shredded wheat characters like, eat this so you can be, make sure you have breakfast every morning so you're smart and ready for the day, and you can take on and learn so much and all this stuff. He eats breakfast all the time, and I feel like he's just not seeing this. He's just not learning that his father is at least like lying to him. Like there's something up with
I don't know what's wrong. I saw one commenter, I don't know what side I was on, but someone was like, "Oh boy, Walter Jr. is gonna flip when he sees the continental breakfast at the hotel."
I wrote that down because I thought, why is Walter Jr. offering, to stay at Marie and Hank's place when does he not know that this hotel, especially the hotel they stayed at? I was in Albuquerque.
That was fancy.
Where the hell was that? Like that was really nice.
Like Bellagio.
Exactly. Yeah. Does he not know what they might be serving that the next morning? At the very least, the cereals are going to be, the ones with the sugary treats, Lucky Charms. They're not going to be
there's a lot of marshmallows in that cereal.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't know, like, they had Skylar mention Walter Jr. She was like, oh, he's got room service and pay-per-view. He's having a good night. Like, Wait, what is he doing? I kind of just wanted a snippet to see, like, just even a quick cutaway of just, like, what is he doing in there? Is he doing something, like, weird? Or is he just, like, he just seems like the most boring person to me.
Well, what if we get a lost, like, episode where was it the other 48, where we see the entire series, the one episode, the entire series is from Walter Jr.'s side.
I hope that's the finale.
We meet, what is his name, Lewis, that he always wants to hang out with. We meet that character. Who knows? Maybe it's like Badger or Beaver or whatever we're calling him this
week.
Yeah,
he called him Beaver.
Which I thought was awesome. But maybe it's like his brother or something, and that's like his connection. I don't know. Like, I need to know who Lewis is. He can't be Bob Sacamano from Seinfeld that we never meet the man behind the curtain here, to talk about Wizard of Oz. Man, there was a lot of references in there.
Yeah, that was very that metaphor was not very tight. I'm sorry.
No, it was not. I'm just talking.
You were just Free Willy styling.
Yeah, exactly. Free Willy styling. All right. Yeah, that's this week's hashtag. Even though we never have a hashtag every week.
Hashtag Free Willy style. Okay, I love it.
All right. So at the hotel, Walt meets with Saul in the car to discuss everything that's going on in his life. And Saul says, Jesse's not going to Belize. He's not going there, but he is going to end up like Old Yeller, which is exactly the same thing as taking a trip to Belize.
Right.
But Walt's like, absolutely not. We can't do that. He's not some rabid dog that you can just, put down here. Yet he had his gun out and was freewheeling the gun all around the house. Before the reveal at the end of the episode, did you ever think that Walter would consider killing him, killing Jesse? Or do you believe what Hank will later say, that Jesse, he cares for you? Like, he actually, thinks almost like as a son. The son he wished he had in Walter Jr.
I do think he's the son he wished he had, and I think that's the purpose of Walter Jr. Walter Jr. is not not a good character. Let's just say that, given, everything about him, he's just not interesting. He's not, he doesn't help his dad in the business. If you're a I think Walt probably has some psychological, personal misgivings. He birthed a son who is imperfect. Let's just put it that way. He's not, there's nothing wrong, but it's an imperfection. And this is the man who strives for 99%, 100%, but, can get 99 with the help of Jesse. And so I think that, I think it has a lot to do with Walter Jr. And I was surprised that everyone he was so against not wanting to take out Jesse. Yeah. That Skylar had jumped to this conclusion, that Saul had jumped to this conclusion, and that Walt was still like trying to, hold back the tide for so long. I thought he was more heartless than this. That was my understanding of him. But I guess it makes sense what Hank was saying, how he really has protected him and done all this for him. And, by the end of the episode, we see that, the straw has broken the camel's back, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. Yeah, like the scene with Skylar later, she goes right to it. She doesn't even need any euphemisms. She pretty much says, what is one more?
Yeah, that was great.
I think that you could just see Skylar at this point is literally just given up and says, screw it,
Yeah.
We're bad guys. We might as well continue to be bad because there's no, we're not going to heaven now. It's like.
Right, exactly. And, this isn't the time to be worrying about, exactly one more. If they want to get out of this, they have to do everything they can to get out of it. And Jesse is a major liability, as we saw.
Well, so this discussion with Saul, he's still in the car. The one thing I picked out from this that I'm dwelling on a lot is, I guess Saul used to take dojo lessons. Now, why couldn't we have seen any of that? Why could that be a spinoff? Just like Saul in his like everyday life, kind of like almost like Seinfeld, like what's Saul doing today? And he goes to the dojo, he goes to the diner and sits down with Huel, like that's their Monk's Cafe. Mike, if he isn't practicing law in the spinoff that everyone's talking about that there might be after Breaking Bad, what do you see Saul doing? Like what scenario do you want to see Saul on a TV show about?
I don't know, maybe some like his old Yeller recap was pretty good, so he could maybe do like an Ebert and Roper, right? Okay. Yeah, like a
Goodman and
Huel. Yeah, maybe we could get him on, like Goodman and Huel or something, or like have him review some movies, or like Leonard on Community, just like the one his pizza reviews. Like I feel like he's got the gift of gab, and he can really pull that off. So. If the lawyering doesn't work out, and if the dojo doesn't work out, I mean, I'd love to see him kick some butt in the almost like Dwight. He reminds me of talking about the dojo. I was thinking of Dwight and all from The Office and all his martial arts.
Because speaking of The Office, that was my choice.
Oh
get him maybe running a branch, maybe like say Scranton at Dunder Mifflin. Why can't we did see Bob Odenkirk do that pretty well. I think it just every show just needs to have Bob Odenkirk on it. He could be a dean at a community college. He could be someone in the parks department. He could be the mother on How I Met Your Mother. I mean, I think he'd be good in every role he does.
He could be a madman on Mad Men.
Perfect. A zombie on Walking Dead. Oh man, start writing these down. We got some good ideas flowing here, Mike.
I think he needs our help finding work after this. Yeah. We are the only... No, he actually doesn't. Bob, if you're listening, I think you're very talented, and I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, he does love Ithaca College. I don't know if you know, Mike, real quick, he's producing a thing for IFC about an Ithaca College sketch comedy group called the Birthday Boys. So,
is he associated with that?
He is. So, I mean...
That's awesome.
He does have some bomber pride somewhere in there, or at least he just likes them, and they just happen to be from Ithaca College. So.
At least one of us does.
All right.
Kidding. Love Ithaca.
Yeah.
Go flying squirrels.
All right. Before we can get, I think, to the meat and potatoes of this episode and find out what's going on with Jesse, we are treated to a scene with Marie at the therapist's office. Now, I found this was very strange because she's there spilling her heart out yet she can't say pretty much anything about the details. So what is the point of doing this?
That's so Marie. Like, I thought, as much as that scene frustrated me, and I was like, why is this here? Mm-hmm. It was so perfect for Marie. You know, because she's just so coy. And I remember there was another instance of something like that when Skylar told her something that she couldn't tell Hank. And, you know, like, immediately she was like, oh, you know, she's like the person who has, like, one of the Kristen Wiig characters from SNL, like the one who can't keep the secret.
Exactly.
And she's just like, I go, I know something. And, you know, she's just going to burst and ruin everything. And, yeah, I thought that scene was terrible. You know, he's like, oh, let's talk about something else. And she can't. She can just talk about poisoning people.
Yeah. So is that what... I was confused by that because she was talking about, was it Saxon toxin or something? Like, and I looked it up on Wikipedia. It's like produces a paralysis that leaves its victim calm and conscious through the progression of the symptoms. Now, I think maybe it's just because there was a lot of people talking when I was watching it. What was that have to do with anything, Mike?
Well, she's been researching it. Mm-hmm. At first, in the beginning of the scene, I thought she was researching it because she was nervous. Mm-hmm. You know, she knows about the rice and that she's nervous that someone's going to try and poison her. But I think it seems as though she's interested in using this poison against someone. Now she's getting into the poison game. She's going to be the new Heisenberg. And oh
my God, can you imagine if that was Marie's the mastermind behind everything in the end?
Like the grape ape or something. She always wears purple.
Yeah.
But yeah, or the Mauve Avenger, Hey Arnold reference. That's what I was going for. But yeah, so it looks as though she was trying to find some type of poison that she could casually place in someone's food very discreetly and kill them.
If she just needs to watch Dexter, that's not Lumen, but the other girl. I already forgot her name, but she's not important. The girl from Chuck that keeps blonde? Poisoning everyone on the show.
Yeah, she had a name, didn't she?
Yeah, she had one, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I've already forgotten. I like that we remember Lumen and Rita and Lila, but we don't remember the one from last season.
And also, this season she makes an appearance too. So.
Oh yeah, well I haven't been watching.
Yeah, but so she's actually one of the main people right now, and we can't even remember her name. Anyways, but like if let's say Marie did say something, I don't know the laws of psychiatrists, you know, psychology, all that stuff. But I mean, you did psychology back at Ithaca. Now, does he have to like say something to the cops if Marie says, you know, oh yeah, my brother-in-law's a drug kingpin, he's killed all these people, like this? Is there like a code of ethics that he has to follow? Yeah,
absolutely. He would have to report that. And you know, if it seems as though she's going to hurt herself or hurt someone else or you know anything basically illegal, he should, if he's a good therapist, you know, a law-abiding therapist should say something. And so her being vague is smart, and it leaves her. But I don't know how vague she can be for long. So she's currently doing things right because she has to tread lightly with this yuppie therapist.
All right. Well, finally, after that scene, we get to find out what is going on with Jesse. Where was he? What was going on? Well, it turns out, you know, Deus Ex Machina, Hank comes right in as soon as he's about to light that fire. He didn't start the fire, thankfully. And, you know,
we didn't start the fire.
Perfect. And so he talks Jesse into leaving, awkwardly puts the seatbelt on him in some kind of weird hug.
It was so cute. It was like a hug.
But I don't know, I thought this was perfect. As they leave, you see Walter's car pull up, and that's like obviously where the start of the episode was. He just missed them. So Walter has no idea that Jesse is with Hank, and which is good because Hank takes him home and does this because he is worried that Walter will do some of his freewheeling moves and just start killing him off like he did with the 10 people that knew about the business in Heisenberg last season in the prison. So he's trying to take every precaution to keep Jesse's safety, and which leads to him being at the Schrader household. And finally, after nearly 60 episodes, Marie has a scene with Jesse.
Yeah, that was jarring.
Now, here's the thing I'm mad about this, Mike. When Jesse met Skylar, pretty much last season, they had the awkward dinner scene. Marie even mentions heating up some lasagna we didn't get that scene, Mike. I'm a little disappointed that we didn't get to see Jesse, Marie, and Hank sitting down for dinner.
I hope those scenes were just cut out for length. I hope they really shot, Walter Jr. in the hotel, living it up, watching pay-per-view. I hope they really shot Marie heating up lasagna and offering Gomez something to eat. I hope it's all there. What happened with the guy and his daughter at the end? What were they doing in the park that day?
Why was he just so mad? He looked so angry.
He was so what, is his daughter a failure at something? Was she not, did she lose in hopscotch and he was judging her hardcore? Like, these are the questions they should be answering at this late in the game. I don't really care about Walt. I don't really care about Hank and Heisenberg and all that stuff. I just want to know.
Yeah, Gilligan needs to get his act together here.
Yeah.
And while he's at it, forget Breaking Bad questions. Can we start, tying up all the loose ends from Lost and all the other season finales?
Right,
happened
that's
to Tony
Gilligan's
Soprano?
Responsibility.
Exactly.
This is all on Gilligan right now. He has, bearing the weight of, the golden age of television. And after him, it's Matt Weiner. It's all Matt Weiner. He's the last guy left.
Mm-hmm. All right, but so I have nothing to say to that. But Jesse has a lot to say because he spills everything, Mike. Or at least we think he spills everything because we don't actually get to see the confession that he is actually giving this week. Very similar to Walter giving a confession last week to Hank on the DVD. This week we see Jesse spill stuff. Now, what do you think he said? Now, I heard Vince Gilligan say that the whole thing was shot and it will be on the DVD as a special feature.
Really?
But right now, we don't know what details he might have glossed over. Now, do you think he even said the thing about, let's say, Gale? Because, I mean, you could say, okay, Walter made me kind of shoot Gale. It's kind of like a self-defense move. But at the same time, it's like, well, you did murder someone, Jesse, by saying, So, like,
right.
What do we think that... Did Jesse spill everything, or did he leave some stuff out, Mike? What do you think?
I would have to assume he spilled everything. I mean, as much as he could remember. It was either Hank or Gomez brought up, Walt hitting guys with his car, and they brought up, another, clip show almost, flashing back to all the great moments of, Walt's Breaking Badness. But until I know otherwise, I mean, maybe that's their way of withholding, they would have left out something big, but it seems to me it's all on tape now or on SD card.
Yeah. The one thing I almost speaking of kind of a clip show, even though this would have been really jarring, I almost didn't. At some point, I was at a viewing party yesterday, and someone brought up how kind of interesting it would be to see, as a cold open or something, Jesse in the classroom. Like a flashback kind of thing. Walter has a lot more hair. It's when Jesse was in school, and you kind of just see maybe like a relationship kind of similar to the first episode of Breaking Bad, where we see that one student, trying to make out with the girl in the back of the room, and Walter's like, come forward, sit over here.
He drags his chair.
Like almost something like that, where we just see, kind of like where they almost quote unquote met. That's why
I think that's a great cold open for the finale. I think that's something they could totally do if it's, they're not too pressed for time. And I want to tread lightly here because I know all of our countless listeners are spoiler phobes like we are. But I've seen on IMDb, and this is kind of a spoiler, but not really. I don't know. But for an upcoming episode called Ozymandias, do you know what I'm going to refer to?
I don't know what you're referring to. I just know that that was a big quote, that poem he read was over the trailer for this season. So I know that's a very important.
In that episode, listed in the credits, and I don't know if it's in person or in flashback form, but it's the actors who play the characters of Mike, Tuco, Crazy 8, Gale, and Jane.
Oh wow.
So I don't know. Maybe there is some flashing back. Maybe they're appearing as ghosts. This may be a major spoiler for those who want to stay completely in the dark. But I feel like there's been a lot of flashing back this season. And maybe Ozymandias will just be one big clip show.
Oh, I mean, who knows? Because again, there's been so many callbacks. I was going to talk about this later with next week's episode. I'm going to mispronounce this because it's a name of the Indian reservation, so I hope I don't screw it up here, but it's Tojali or something like that. is the name of
That's
next
the name of
week's
the episode?
Okay. And that's the name of the Indian reservation where he buries the money, and that's where they had the first, the cook. So it may seem that he may have to go back there to get the buried money, or it's going to play some kind of important thing. And this week, somebody pointed out on Tumblr, if you look at the pictures in the hotel room that they stay at, it's very clear that they were taken at that reservation, and it has like the cliff right in front of where he buried the money.
Really?
So it's kind of like the little Easter egg, maybe foreshadowing that, yeah, something's going to take place there. The
final showdown.
Something. I mean, that's where it all started. And I think, as you're saying, there's been a lot of callbacks to other seasons. This whole thing has been just flashing back to like, oh, this is where we were, the first episode. This is from the second episode. We're going, like, it's just...
Right, yeah. I mean, even the tighty whities that we saw, Walt running around in them, that's a clear flashback. And then you had Todd last week literally retelling an episode. You have everyone going back. The past is really ingrained into this. And I think... even philosophically, that's, telling you he can't escape, it's not going to be a clean slate. He's really got all of these, chips on his shoulder, all these things weighing him down that he has to deal with now.
Yeah, it's, I just love it. It's all coming full circle here and everything. It's not like maybe like something like Dexter where the past is forgotten. Right. Every single thing that Walter has done, he's either going to pay for it, or it's at least going to be brought up,
or he'll have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I like I read one theory. It was Emily, I believe Nussbaum is her name. She's the critic for the New Yorker, and on Twitter she tweeted that her theory was, in the very first episode we see Skylar as a struggling fiction artist. and she thinks that this entire series will have been, Skylar's piece de resistance, her story that she was trying to tell, the story of the dissatisfied housewife, because we've never come back to her as a struggling, writer.
Wow.
And so...
Can you imagine if it'd be something like that, and like, the camera pulls out and you see like Skylar at the typewriter or whatever, or the computer. Why is she on a typewriter? She's on the computer. And
she's on a typewriter. It's the 1950s.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like...
A young Vince Gilligan walks into the room. Mommy, what do you have there?
Or it's a Bob Newhart thing where Bryan Cranston wakes up in the bed, next to his wife from Malcolm in the Middle, and is just like, "Honey, I just had a dream," or
right,
something.
Exactly. Yeah, it's gonna be something terrible like that.
Oh, I hope not.
It won't be, but it'd be funny if it were.
All right, so go back to the episode. The big thing at the very end of the episode here is we see Jesse kind of all wired up from to get some answers from Walter. Hank has him with the microphone, the recording devices. They're going to try to get some answers out of Walt in the middle of a giant public space. So Hank is saying, "Oh no, Jesse, you're safe. Don't worry about it." And meanwhile, Jesse's like, "Dude, this guy is, the devil. He's the luckiest son of a gun that you could imagine. He's going to think of something." And then when we get there, we see, or they make us think that there's some kind of bodyguard, some kind of guy hiding behind the corner that the others can't see, which leads Jesse to say, calls him up on the phone, "Nice try, it's not going to work, but I'm going to get you where it does really hurt." Now, where do you think that is, Mike? What is Jesse's plan here? He's going to get Walter where he really hurts. I mean, could that be his gasoline-soaked groin that he was talking about in the earlier episode?
That would probably hurt. I mean,
very specific with that for some reason. He was like, "Oh, I got it all over me. I got it on my arms and legs, my groin."
The devil is in the details, and we know Walt is the devil, and we know how detailed he is. And so, I mean, it makes perfect sense. I mean, the most logical assumption, I think, is the family.
Yeah.
I think is, we see him. There's a scene where he looks at the picture of Walt and Skylar in the room, and I think that could have humanized, in his mind, Walt. But I think it really made him realize, his family, Skylar and the kids, are his heart, and it's where it hurts. So I'd be worried if I were Walter Jr. or Holly really doesn't have to worry, but or Marie, but or not Marie, Skylar. So I would think, and if not that, then his money. And
maybe that
I don't know I don't know if he has any idea about it.
Where it is, but yeah, maybe that's why the episode's called. I'm not gonna try pronouncing it again, but
Right,
the name of that
the name
next
of
week.
the reservation. That's interesting. Yeah, it's a good theory.
I did write down. I thought it was going to be Skylar too, just because we've dwelled so long on that the Santa picture there of Skylar sitting on Walt's lap, smiling, just in love with Walter. But the thing I'm worried with this whole thing is Hank obviously speeds around the corner, picks up Jesse again, and was like, what the hell was that? And now he's like, don't worry, I have a better plan. I have a better option. Now, are these the same option? Because if so, I don't think Hank's going to go for killing Skylar or anyone in the family here. So does he have two conflicting plans, you think?
Maybe he's going to have a plan, reveal parts A through Y, and then part Z is kill Skylar. And, so maybe he's going to pull, like a double cross, double agent of some type.
That'd be interesting.
I don't know. I mean, I think I had some problems, as I said, structurally with the episode, but I think it did a really good job of setting everyone into the right place for, we're now at the point where Walt has crossed that threshold and he's ready to take down Jesse. And Todd now has a purpose because Walt finally called him back. I'm sure he was waiting on the call. So now
sitting by his phone.
Right. Just sitting there with nothing else to do, just not caring about killing a kid. But yeah, so now he has that army while Jesse has the DEA and that army, and then there's all the civilians almost in the middle of the battleground that are just pawns in their game. So it's gonna be crazy, and I think now, not that it hasn't been good before, but this is where it gets good.
Oh, it's definitely as John B, our audio expert, told me earlier, or on our Dual Redundancy Facebook page, he says Jesse has grown a pair again, thank goodness. And I think he's right. I think the Jesse that we saw, sitting quiet, just swallowing, just listening to Badger Beaver's spec
Star
script.
Trek.
Now he's finally ready to take some action. And these last 4 episodes, well, many thought maybe this season could have been Hank versus Walt. I mean, it should be, and I think it will be, Walt versus Jesse.
Now, what can we just think for a second?
Okay.
What do you think the possibilities are of Jesse dying in the next 3 episodes before the finale? I think it would get exponentially greater as each episode goes on. But do you think the writers have the balls to cut Jesse out next week and just smite him, or kill? How in danger are each of these characters? Could we get a major death next week, do you think?
Oh man, I mean, anything is possible because I think as soon, like we were talking about the fire earlier, as soon as you think Breaking Bad's going in this direction, it's going the opposite.
Right. And didn't Jesse say something like that too? Like, however you think it's going to go, it'll go the opposite.
I remember him saying like it's the exact reverse of what you think is going to happen is going to happen.
Yeah.
So, anything could happen because, like again, I think we talked about it last week. That beginning scene, or the flash forward from this season where he goes back, to the machine gun, get the rice and all this stuff. We don't know when that is, and if we're even going to see it on the show.
Yeah, we really need to get there. That's what I keep forgetting too. That's still looming in the air.
And I know we talked about this with Skylar, like taking the characteristics of Skylar, with the breakfast and all that stuff. I read somewhere now, I'm not sure if I said this on the podcast, that the jacket
was Jesse's, right?
Was that Walter was wearing for those flashbacks was Jesse's. So if those theories, hold up,
true.
Jesse
but then
be
who is
dead
the
at
rice
that point.
For? Right. So
exactly.
Then in that case, is the rice for him? Is it for Todd? Is it for Walter Jr.?
So many unanswered questions. We just won't know. We got 4 more episodes, pretty much less than 4 hours left to wrap everything up here. And it's gonna be.
It's coming down to the wire.
Yeah, there you go. But I think that's all the time we have for this week. We are under the wire as well, Mike. We got to thank John Berwick for not only submitting some content for this week's episode, a little message he sent us, but also for doing all the audio work as he always does every week, make this podcast possible. Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
And Make sure you're following Dual Redundancy on all the social media aspects, because we got these last 4 episodes. A lot of stuff's going to go down, so make sure you're up to date with everything that's happening. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter at Dual Redundancy. The blog's at dualredundancy.blogspot.com, and we got the YouTube page as well. These podcasts are also posted on there, because I know some listeners actually told me that they can't listen to it through our feed for some reason on iTunes. They don't have iTunes, but they like to listen on YouTube. So we got it there for them. And one cool thing this week, if you have some free time, we celebrated our 2-year, quote-unquote, anniversary of starting Dual Redundancy.
Woo!
And
I don't know about you, but I'm feeling two.
Exactly. But we posted a lot of like flashbacks, a lot of like classic moments that we thought, like the first episode, the first web show, some of our favorite promos and stuff that we did. So you can hashtag Dual Turns 2. You type that in on Twitter or whatever, you can see all the moments that we posted and picked all last week when we celebrated our 2nd birthday.
Aww.
But that's it for this week, Mike. I know we got to figure out a way to end this. What if do you want to ramble on about Babylon 5 for a few hours here at the end?
I think you should do some Free Willy styling to end it off.
Right. I made up that term and I don't even know what that is. Is that rapping? Is that just
You got to do it, just Free Willy style, man.
Okay. This is all off the top of my head here, so this is going to be interesting.
Maybe make some whale noises.
So how about this is a story all about how Walt's life got turned upside down. And I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there. I'll tell you how Walter White became the kingpin of New Mexico.
With no hair.
Oh, that was good.
That would have been so much better. John, can you just fix that post?
All right. That's it, guys. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
And cut.